Public libraries are at the heart of our communities. They have incredible value, as I'm sure we will hear from colleagues today. And they also have an important and underutilised role in delivering the government's plan for change. I'm going to talk briefly about the diverse and important roles that public libraries play in our society and the profound risks they face, and finally urge the Minister to work with colleagues to implement and go boldly beyond the recommendations of the Sanderson review. That review, commissioned by the last government and published last year, calls on government to develop a national strategy for public libraries. And I want to thank the Chartered Institute of Library and Information Professionals, CILIP, for supporting me to understand the challenge faced by libraries and articulate the need for change. And it's good to see some friends from CILIP in the public gallery today. The public library, as we know it, has been shaped and moulded by the laws and motions enacted in this place. It is 175 years since the Member of Parliament, William Ewart, against much opposition, led the charge to introduce the first Public Libraries Act in 1850. This compelled boroughs to establish free public libraries, the first legislative step in the creation of an enduring national institution that provides universal free access to trustworthy information. Opposition was rooted in the belief that knowledge was a volatile force, too potent for, and I quote, the rough and poor, who were seen as unfit to grasp or use it responsibly. Libraries, opponents warned, would become breeding grounds for unrest and lecture halls of unhealthy agitation, threatening social order. So there is a sort of sweet irony then, in the face of an explosion of misinformation and a rapidly changing world, that libraries have become a rare beacon of trustworthy information where we can build our knowledge and skills with confidence. It may be that our democracy depends on it. While I could spend my full time today waxing lyrical about the importance of libraries, I wanted to think more specifically about what needs they meet and more strategically about their role in delivering government priorities and more precisely about the value they contribute to the economy. Everybody knows that the public purse strings are tighter than they once were. But despite facing real terms cuts of 49% since 2010, public libraries continue to produce immense educational, economic and social value. They have adapted in ways which William Ewart could not have imagined. Many of our libraries have quietly evolved into digital learning centres, enterprise hubs and pillars of community well-being. Across the country, brilliant initiatives have emerged, like the Glass Box in Taunton, where people of all ages develop 3D skills in printing and programming in library spaces. And there's initiatives like Gloucestershire's library-led Tackling Loneliness programme amongst older people. These are models which should be shared. 13.7 million adults used a library last year, not just for books, but to study, to get online, and in some cases as a place to feel safe. It was the Minister himself, I believe, who referred to libraries as cultural diamonds, and I could not agree with him more. And Baroness Twycross has noted they are one of the last non-transactional spaces in our communities. It's hugely encouraging to see such clear appreciation and understanding of public libraries at the heart of government. Despite the hard work that has been done on mitigation, adaptation and commercialisation, cuts to public services since 2010 have meant that, tragically, public libraries are disappearing. Since 2010, we've lost around 276 static libraries in England, although that could be a substantial underestimate. We're losing about 40 a year, not to mention the good jobs for the trained professionals who run them. This is clearly unsustainable and must not be allowed to continue. We know that the situation in local authorities is acute, with a number of councils issuing Section 114 notices, and almost 1 in 5 English councils will rely on exceptional financial support from central government this financial year. But while local authorities do have a statutory requirement to provide a comprehensive and efficient library service, these requirements are vague and untested, leaving them at risk of being targeted for savings and efficiencies. I do not envy local authorities for the truly difficult choices they are having to make. However, we have a false dichotomy between long-term ambition and short-term crisis. I know the Minister won't be able to commit to putting more money into libraries without a strong evidence base for what it will achieve, and that strikes at the heart of the problem. We don't know what the extent of public library provision is. We don't know where it is, what it does and what it could do. Regulated healthcare services are listed in a national database with contact details for their leaders and information about what is being provided. A similar resource could be developed for libraries across local authorities, schools, colleges, universities, healthcare settings and prisons. This could show who can use those libraries, the extent of their catalogues, the range of skills held by the professionals behind them, and opportunities for how libraries could be used for a range of activities, including commercial ones, which would support them to deliver increased public value. A national database could support collaboration between library and information professionals and allow government to better use the full portfolio of these services to support its skills and community cohesion agendas. That's why I want to echo calls from the other place for the government to develop a full national strategy for public libraries backed by robust data. This is an intervention which would not only produce savings through demand reduction on other services, but also unlock significantly more value than it would cost to implement. A national strategy could better support a child to get a better start in life, a parent to receive the support they need, a job seeker who finds a quiet and supportive place to search for work, somebody struggling with a public service who has an important but confusing form which they need explaining to them, an entrepreneur to find a new niche, an older person who safely manages to pay their bill with the help from the library staff. And all that is in addition to satisfying a thirst for knowledge which seeks to understand and further the human condition. Many local authorities already calculate the contributions that libraries are making to public health initiatives, digital inclusion, adult education, tackling isolation and so much more. But too often, this work is done to identify where the least harmful savings can be made. Other institutions like schools, job centres, the NHS should also know what libraries are contributing to their work, and so should central government. But without reliable data, we just don't have a full picture of the value our libraries are delivering, nor can we fully understand what vulnerable or disadvantaged people and communities stand to lose when their libraries start to close. Better data would also allow us to understand regional inequalities in the distribution of services, which doubtless exist. This is why a key recommendation of the Sanderson review was to establish a national data hub to serve as the evidence base for the development of a national strategy. Much of the rest of the Sanderson review can be implemented at little cost. This includes the creation of a libraries laureate to champion the sector, automatic enrolment for children to the libraries run by their local council, support for the network of library volunteers who do so much more for their communities, and awareness days or branding which local libraries can tap into. When the Sanderson review was published, these recommendations were welcomed by the British Library, which has convening power and significant influence in the wider sector. Based on the huge variety of activities and services delivered by libraries, it is clear that a national strategy must be a cross-governmental one. But even so, this work needs one person to hold the pen. Industry experts are concerned that libraries no longer appear in a ministerial title, and they would greatly appreciate it if that was restored. This will be a modest change, and I hope it is one that the government will reflect upon. So I would be grateful in my closing remarks if the Minister would provide his reflections on the Sanderson review and advise us on the government plans to deliver on its recommendations, including a timeline for any actions and whether he supports the National Plan for Libraries. I would also be grateful if he could advise us on what conversations he is having with CILIP, the British Library, local authorities and representatives of the library sector about how we can work together to improve public library provision. Finally, it would be wonderful to know what representations DCMS has made to the Treasury, articulating the value of libraries and asking for more money for these vital resources. It is wonderful to see so many members from across the House here today to talk about public libraries and why they are so very important. I'm excited to hear about the best practice which we no doubt will have across the many local areas represented, and also what specific challenges colleagues, communities have faced, and also about the life-changing impacts libraries have had on their constituents. And I'm looking forward to working with colleagues going forward to help us all deliver on the amazing promise of these truly amazing and special, unique places today and for generations to come. Thank you.